Hi everyone, it's Misty here. Thank you so much for joining me in today's video. I have an update for you. So we're going to be talking about health mostly. So if you're not interested in that, this may be the one to skip. So I have some things to catch you up on, and I just want to talk about like how I'm doing now that we're 4 months in, and it's been a wild 4 months. So let's start at the beginning. So at the beginning of the year, I was like, I want to lose 100 pounds. I'm going to be vlogging. We're going to be doing the things. I'm setting monthly goals, blah, 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 blah. January was pretty decent. February, pretty good. And then at the end of February, my husband and I both got the vid. And it was unreal. It was awful. Like, I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. And Rob and I were talking, and I said, thank God we were vaccinated, because if I had gotten that unvaccinated, I may not be here today. And it was really a huge wake-up call to just how serious this was and just how we lost so many people to it. So it was awful. I hated it. I felt like Rob had it more in like his head, kind of cold flu, and I had all of mine mostly in my chest. The first few days wasn't that bad. So I filmed for you guys on Tuesday, and I was like, I feel fine. I felt fine that night. I had a sore throat, but I'd filmed like 7 videos that day and talked a lot. So I thought maybe it was just talking, but I woke up the next morning with a headache and I could feel that my head was getting full. So I ran to CVS Minute Clinic, and she's like, "Yo, this is COVID." And I was like, God damn it. So I couldn't take Paxil because of some kind of interaction with 2 of the meds that I take. So I was on something else that starts with an L. And I feel like maybe that wasn't as effective as Paxil. And I don't know what the risks were. She didn't really explain it. I was just like, whatever you need to do to get me well, please and thank you. So that happened. And then, so the first few nights I was fine, but I can remember, so I was diagnosed on Wednesday, and by Saturday, we were getting in bed to sleep, and I literally felt like I was drowning. I started coughing and I couldn't breathe. So I had a wedge that I picked up when I had gallbladder surgery. So I slept on a wedge for a good week, and like I said, it was just all in my chest. It just hurt so bad. It was awful. It was awful. And poor Rob, like I said, I felt like he had the worst of it. And then, so he was diagnosed on Monday, and then by Friday, he felt better. We had demolished my craft room. I bought new furniture. We were in the middle of putting it all together. The guest bed was covered, so we couldn't sleep separately. So that weekend, he's like, yeah, I feel fine. And then on Monday, he said, oh, I don't feel well again. And then on Tuesday, he was literally coughing once every 2 minutes, it felt like. I was literally about to lose my mind. So I was like, you've got to go back to the doctor. So on Wednesday, he went back to the doctor, and she's like, it's still COVID. She's like, but I'll give you, a antibiotic. And that really cleared him up and helped him out. He probably feels about 90% better. I'm probably at about 65% better. So you guys may not know, I don't remember if I've ever talked about it, but back in 2013 or 2014, I had a rough spring. I had a viral infection, I had a sinus infection, I had bronchitis, I think I had strep throat. I had all of this upper respiratory shit happening. And one night we were sitting and watching TV, and I was like, my chest hurt. I mean, it's hurting right now too. But it's like my chest hurts, and not heart, in the center of my chest. And I have been diagnosed with chondritis or whatever, where my chest wall will get inflamed, which makes sense because I have an inflammatory disease, right? But we were sitting there, and I thought, well, maybe this is just, chondritis. And it just kept getting tighter and tighter and tighter. And it was getting to the point where I was having trouble breathing. And so I told Rob, I was like, we got to go to the emergency room. So we get to the emergency room, and you know how they are. They kind of put you in a room, take your quick vitals, and then you don't see anybody until they're ready to they're ready to light you out, I think. So this guy walks in, he's like, okay, I'm here to do your breathing treatment. And I said, breathing treatment for what? And he said, for asthma. And I was like, I don't have asthma. He's like, ma'am, you're in the middle of an asthma attack. So I had developed allergy-induced asthma. And I did the Advair inhaler, I had a regular inhaler, I had a nebulizer with albuterol. I had all of the things, and I really needed it for a good 2 years. And then I started noticing that it started to kind of go away. And by 2017, I didn't have any issues with it. So I can remember lying in bed that second week and my chest hurt. I honestly, in the beginning, I thought I had pneumonia. I was like, oh no, I think this is morphed into pneumonia. But as I was laying in bed and I felt that chest tightness, I was like, wait a minute, I think this is asthma. And Rob was like, do you want to go to the emergency room? And it wasn't to the point where I felt like I needed the emergency room. And I was like, no, the last thing I want to do is have COVID and have to go sit in the waiting room for 5 hours. So I called and got in to see my doctor. And he was like, yeah, you're pretty tight. He's like, I'm going to send in a new inhaler. Because I had an inhaler. Rob's like, you have an inhaler? Well, it expired in 1997. Not 1997. Jesus, Mary and Josephine. 2017. So I was like, no. I mean, if it's like a Tylenol or something, sure. But not something that's going to fuck with my lungs. So I went and saw my doctor and he sent it all in. And he was like, all right, how are you doing? And I was like, not great. I was like, I don't feel well. It's like, I feel like this is lingering. I was like, I just don't feel well. So that was like on the 15th or 16th of the month. I don't even remember. And then, so the following week, I think I saw him on a Thursday. And I was doing 2 breathing treatments a day and puffing that inhaler twice a day. And I did that for a good 7-8 days. It didn't help that we're in the middle of spring. So in Texas, we're getting a lot of rain. And I'm not a lifetime asthmatic. But I've asked some people and they're like, yeah, because when it's humid outside, like yesterday when it was humid and we had storms, it's rough. Humidity is rough on me. I don't know if that's true for all asthmatics, but it's rough for me. So not only was I dealing with COVID and then the asthma came back, but I was also dealing with the weather. And so I was doing breathing treatments a lot. Luckily, I've slowed way down on that. And I've also slowed down on having to puff the inhaler. But yeah. And then if life couldn't get any more complicated for me, the following week, I think it was Tuesday or Wednesday night, I was checking myself. I checked my breast every single day. Like, I'm diligent about that. And I found 2 lumps kind of on my side boob area, kind of like underneath my armpit, but a little bit further down. And I was like, shit, am I really feeling something? So I had Rob come feel and he's like, yeah, I feel 2. I was like, I do too. So I called and I had already called and made a mammogram appointment, but I had to cancel it because I got COVID. So I called to reschedule and she's like, ma'am, she's like, if you have found something, because I asked her if they did the side boobs and she was like, why? I was like, well, I found a couple of lumps. She's like, you're going to have to get a referral and do diagnostic. I'm like, Misty, why'd you open your mouth? So I got in to see their new nurse practitioner and she was like, you were just here. I was like, yeah, I was just here not even a week ago. I said, but I found these lumps and I've never had them before. They're brand new. I don't know where they came from. And I thought maybe they came from the COVID or whatever. And she's like, I don't think they're anything. She's like, because they're not static. They can, they're not hard and and you can move them around a little bit. She's like, I don't think it's anything. She's like, but we'll get you the referral. That was like the 3rd or 4th week of March. I literally just had that mammogram on Wednesday. I'm filming this on Friday the 21st. So the only good thing about having this mammogram is that you get results same day. And I was like, okay, I can handle that. So went and had a mammogram done. I had a 3D one done. I had no issues. She let me sit down in a chair because I told her, I was like, if this is going to be more than like 2 or 3 minutes, I'm going to have to sit in a chair. So, we did the whole thing and she's like, yeah, I can feel them. She's like, but the radiologist will let you know. So she came back and I was like, do we need to do the ultrasound? She's like, depending on what we see on the mammogram, will determine whether or not we do the ultrasound. And I said, okay, cool. So she came back and she's like, you're all good. She's like, that's fatty pockets or something and you're fine. She's like, she doesn't see anything of, concern and come back in a year. So I noticed last night that I'd gotten a couple more. So the nurse practitioner said it could be like fat deposits or it could be like sometimes the breast tissue will come away or whatever. So I was like, okay, as long as I don't have to worry about it, I'm fine. So COVID all of March with asthma and then the boobie thing. And it's been really, really rough. And add in all of this stuff, this anti-trans, LGBTQIA plus legislature and this kind of war on gays out of nowhere is really, really hard for me. So much so that I talked to my therapist. Luckily, I've been seeing a therapist. I see her every other Monday. We do it via Zoom. She's lovely. I love her. I can't remember if we talked about her before, but she's perfect. She's a really good fit. And I think she's going to really help me get through all of this trauma that I need to deal with, childhood trauma, etc. So we were talking in my last appointment. I said, I just feel it's really hard for me because so many people that I love are on that rainbow spectrum. And people just aren't following the science. And I don't understand why, this one thing that happened this one time, and now we're having to go all out and ban, just take away the basic human rights of people just trying to live. But yet we can't solve the problem of school shootings, and we've had over 100, and it's the 4th month of the year. So like you guys know, I've tried to stay away from the TV. I've tried to stay away from the news. I've tried to stay away from all of that. But even living in a tunnel, it's just, you see it everywhere. And I just feel, I hurt for my friends. And someone had posted a meme about how in Isaiah or whatever in the Bible, it says demons identify themselves as we and us and the pronoun thing. And it's like, we the people of the United States. We the people of the United States. It's like, you really love that Second Amendment, but you sure as hell don't know what the preamble says, do you? And I'm just like, it's just idiocracy, and it's just, it's just, every time we take one step forward, we go 5 steps backwards. And again, it's like, can we worry about, keeping children alive rather than, them having to have someone read to them, like some diversity and, just the stuff that happened in Tennessee, and just this kind of erasure of, like, I don't know. It's like we're banning books where, we need to know our history. I mean, that was the problem in Germany, right? Like, they weren't teaching what happened in World War II with the Nazis, and look what happened. So it's like, it just feels like we're moving from a democracy to more of fascism, and it's hard to stay away from that. You know what I mean? And it's hard not to, want to scream at the top of my lungs. It's like, why do you think your God would create somebody just for them to be condemned? Like, it doesn't make any sense. And again, there is actual science that shows that there's a chromosomal issue in the womb. So it's just like, I'm getting anxiety just talk about it. But yeah, it's been really, really hard. And I get to sit in privilege because I'm a white cis man, white cisgendered female with a white cisgendered husband. And none of this really bothers me, other than it bothers my heart. And it hurts that so many people are just so willing to just use their religion to shield their bigotry, but using their religion as a weapon. And our country was literally founded on the opposite of that. So it's just hard to watch what's happening in the world and just watch us backslide here in the USA. We've gone from the best, the best country in the world to probably one of the least the worst countries in the world. And that's really sad. So anyway, that's enough of that. But yeah, so that's kind of where my life has been. I've just been struggling, like with, the COVID, and then get this breast stuff on top of it. It's like, okay, it's like, what is the lesson here? Like, what is the lesson I need to learn, because I'm over it. One thing I did do was, there was a ad on Facebook about gene sequencing. So I ended up buying that kit. So supposedly they take your DNA, and then they like separate all the genomes or whatever, and it tests for rare diseases. So I'm waiting on that kit to get here so I can send in my DNA sample. They say it takes up to 20 weeks, which is 5 months. So at this point, I'm at kind of like the end of the rope. It's like this or the Mayo Clinic. And right now the Mayo Clinic is just not going to happen. Rob is working. He literally worked 80 hours last week. So there's just no way for us to get there, etc. So just put it on the list, right? Just put it on the motherfucking list. So send off for that. So I'll keep you guys posted on that. Last time I weighed in, I was 339. So I'm 8 pounds up from January, but at least I'm not like 30 or 40 pounds up. The issue I'm having, and you guys know this, I've talked about it a million times, the weather affects me. It affects my asthma, it affects my inflammation. So I can literally have a 15-pound discrepancy between 2 days. So I'm really trying to keep it to once a month and just going about my life. A non-scale victory is I'm down a pant size. So when I started keto in March of 2017, I wore a size 32 pant. I am now in a size 22. So I just had to buy a few new pairs of shorts from Target, and that feels really good. And when we went for the mammogram on Wednesday, I could tell that I've really like slimmed down in inches. Of course, we're not tracking inches or anything like that, but I'll have to remember to take a full pic so we can see the difference, because the weight hasn't moved, but the inches are coming off. If we could just get this gobbler, that would make me a very happy girl. Very happy girl. So yeah, I got the vid, over the vid, got asthma again, still working through that. The boobies are fine. I'm going to do this gene sequencing thing. I turned 45 in a week. Next Saturday is my birthday. My husband and I are going out to True Lux. If you're in the Dallas area, you know what that is. I'm so excited. I've been dying for some seafood. And we used to love Seafields, but Seafields just completely, when they reopened, they completely changed their menu, and they don't have anything that we liked on that. So we're going to True Lux instead. Be a fancy dinner. We haven't had a chance to dress up in a while. So yeah, other than that, we're just trucking along. We're adulting. We paid to have our upholstery cleaned because of after the construction. It's been a year, and tomorrow they're coming to clean our vents, our dryer vent, and our air vents. I feel like we're adulting. It's like adulting when you're doing all this house stuff. So yeah, therapy's helping a lot. She recommended a book the first time we talked called The Body Keeps the Score. And I'll try to remember to link it in the description box down below. It's not available in Kindle, but you can get it in paperback or hardback. And what it is this doctor discovered that childhood trauma, any kind of trauma, abuse, etc., not only affects you mentally, but it can also affect you physiologically. So like it can be what's causing an anti-inflammatory disease. It can be what's causing all these diseases. And I told her last week, I was like, I bought the book. She's like, have you read it? And I was like, no, I can't make myself do it. I said, because once we do that, then that means we are full on working through all of the abuse that I put up with when I was a kid or went through when I was a kid. And I said, I don't know that I am mentally prepared for that. And I told her, I said, I'll read the first chapter. I see her on Monday, so I have a few days. I'm filming this on Friday. I have a few days to read that first chapter. I sat down with it with my highlighter. I was like, I'm ready to go. And then I read the first 2 sentences, and I was like, I'm just not ready for this. So if you guys didn't know, my brother and I cut our mother out of our lives in 2014. She is textbook narcissist. Textbook. And one of you guys said, Missy, I think you're dealing with childhood PTSD. And I was like, oh, maybe I am. So it's funny because when I'm on Instagram or whatever and you're looking through reels and you're getting all of this, you get on one thing and then you just keep getting them. And it's like narcissist and how they don't communicate and blah, blah, blah. And I can remember, I told my therapist, I can remember we lived in a little 1,200 square foot house. I was 8 or 9 years old, and my mother would ignore me for weeks, not a day, not a couple of days, weeks. And it's just been, and then this time of year it used to be hard for me because I actually stopped talking to her mid-April 2014. And of course my birthday's at the month, and then you have Mother's Day. And so the first few years were really hard. That first year, my best friend's like, did you see your mom's post? I was like, no, I blocked her. Blocked her number, blocked her on Facebook, and he was like, here, read it. And she put up a post on my birthday saying, a very special birthday to my daughter, Misty, and even though you don't want to talk to me anymore, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me? And every single person underneath was talking about how, I was a bad daughter and shame on me and blah, blah, blah. And that's what narcissists do. That's just gaslighting, right? I never knew what it was called. I don't think it had a term or title until recently. But yeah, just all the gaslighting and stuff. And I was just like, And a couple of months ago, none of us are friends with her on Facebook. My brother isn't. I'm not. My brother's fiance isn't. And one night, the fiance got a people you may know thing on Facebook. And it was her. And she had pictures of my nephew. as her profile picture and her cover picture, and I lost my mind. And I put up a huge post on Facebook and said, listen, if you are sending her pictures, you need to stop. I was like, my brother, like his dad and I both cut her out of our lives in 2014. This nephew will never know her. He will never meet her. She will never know him. She will never meet him. She has nothing to do with him. He's not in her life. Do not share the pics I share with her. And I ended up having to delete out all of them, and I don't share them there anymore, which is awful. But at the same time, it's like, again, she's a narcissist. So there's a lot to unpack, and I think maybe going forward I would feel a little bit better, especially since I have some of this health stuff kind of settled. But yeah, it's gonna be a long road, and I'm terrified. I'm not gonna lie, I'm terrified. But it needs to be done. And I had a dream she died a few weeks ago. Maybe it's a couple months ago now. And I told my therapist, I was like, I almost feel like this would be easier if she was gone. And I said, but I don't wish that. Like, I'm not wishing that she's dead. I don't want her to die. I don't want her to suffer or anything like that. I'm not wishing her ill will. But it almost feels like that she's still lingering. You know what I mean? Like, she's still in my orbit because she's still friends with people that I'm also friends with. And so it's like walking this tightrope, dealing with it and trying to talk about it. And at the same time, I just feel like maybe it would be easier if she had passed. But again, I'm not wishing that on her, but I wonder if other people who have dealt with abuse feel the exact same way. It would be interesting to know. You guys can let me know in the comments down below. So the boobies are good. The lungs are not great. The brain is getting better, and I'm losing inches, just not weight. So yeah, I really do hope that I can get into vlogging in May. I am just ready. I need you guys. It's what it boils down to. I need you guys. I need my cheerleaders. I just need people other than people who are in my tight circle to just kind of help me navigate all of this. I can't do it on myself, do it all on my own. So I appreciate you guys that still watch and care and all the things. And thank you for reaching out. I just figured it would be easier to film a quick video. I was trying to wait to have that mammogram done before I got on and talked to you guys. So next week I'll see my primary care physician about the mammogram, and then I have an infusion on Thursday, birthday on Saturday. So it's going to be a busy week. So I'll try to check in with you guys again at the 1st of May, and we'll see what happens. But anyway, thank you so much for joining me. I really do appreciate you. Again, I will leave that book linked in the description box down below. It's not an affiliate link. It's just, I mean, if you guys want to do like a book club with it, I would be willing to do that. You guys will just have to let me know. Maybe we can do an Instagram chat, Facebook group, or whatever. It would be really interesting. So anyway, I love you guys. I hope you have a good day, night, weekend, wherever you are. I will see you in my next video, hopefully in the next week or two. Bye for now.